and and see if we can go along with them. So again, first thing is that I want to thank you guys for attending. I'm sure there'll be more people coming in. We're going to start this thing with hopefully what will regain some momentum on some trading. So our next talk will not be this coming Wednesday because Pilar and I won't be here. We're going to be somewhere on a beach or something, I hope. So we won't be here. So it'll be the following Wednesday. Myself and Michael, and Michael is helping me or working with me on all of this. So we're trying to develop some different things and different skills. So the following Wednesday, we are going to talk about niche marketing a little bit, and we're going to talk about focusing on one thing. You know, we're going to talk about, you know, as realtors, we have so much, we have a lot of hats to wear, whether you're a team lead, whether you are an individual agent, and we have a shifting marketplace. You know, it may be taking a little bit longer than something, but you know, like some points Rodney brought up a little while ago, we definitely are having some things starting to happen, and then there's some things coming up in the marketplace with the moratoriums and all that other kind of stuff. So we want to be prepared, not only to be making good things happen now, but to be prepared no matter what the market does. Because no matter what the market does, I don't know about you guys, but my house notes still due, my visa still need to be paid. That means that I need to continue to help families no matter what their real estate needs. And to be quite honest, if it gets a little bit, you know, a little bit more even, a little bit quote unquote tougher, then the persons with the best skill levels will tend to play out a little bit. And that does not scare me personally, and it shouldn't scare any of you guys. So one of the things I would say right now, as far as we're going to talk about objection handling, but we're going to talk about it in like a conversational way, meaning that I don't want us to, we're not about to go into Mike Ferry or Tom Ferry scripts like, okay, well, when do you plan on moving? Great, yes. We're going to talk a little bit more conversational of different types of objections that either you're hearing in the marketplace now or will hear. So one thing that I would encourage you guys, if you have something that you're hearing or something that is an objection that you're thinking, feel free to put it into the chat. Feel free to put in the chat, and Michael and I are looking at and monitoring the chat, and we'll you know, and we'll bring those up. I mentioned before everyone came on that I will call on some of you guys, because I don't want this to be the Michael and Elgin show. I want collaboration. There's great agents here on this call right now, and all of us have something to bring to the table, and all of us have something that we can learn and teach each other. You know, beside Michael, I've known Chris and Rodney forever. And they're really good seasoned agents. Hey, Di, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. And for those of you that don't know, Di is a newest member here from to our EXP family. So she comes seasoned, a veteran, really good and ready to go. That's why I don't have any problems on calling on her either. And I like to thank my wife for reaching out to Di and getting her on the calls and getting her in our EXP family. So that also has been great. And here we go. So one of the things that I want to say about any type of objection handling and any type of conversation, there's a couple of things. Number one is make sure that you speak with confidence. Make sure that you speak with confidence, because remember this, no matter what you're talking about with a customer, with a buyer or seller or whatnot, you do know more than they do. Yeah, I mean, you know more than they do about this topic, about the subject of helping families with their real estate. And if you don't know more about it yet, you will shortly. It don't take long. So just remember that all buyers and sellers, we used to say, they go to real estate stump school, meaning that their goal is to come up with objections and to trip you up. That's what they do. So when they ask you questions like that, don't get mad. Just know that they went to school and they graduated and that you just have to be better than they are in showing them the value of the decision that they were going to make. Uh, I'm actually was going to start with one question, but I'm actually going to start with something here that my man Rodney brought up prior to us coming on here and actually, becoming engaged. And that is, there's a lot going on right now. The war, the stock market's been crazy, interest rates up and down, all of that. So my question to you guys is, what do you guys say to we'll start with the seller. What do you guys say to that seller right now who says to you, hey, Elgin, I don't know if I want to list right now. I want to see what's going on. The world is crazy. The war, the interest rates. So I think I need to wait a while. Let me ask you guys, what would you say, or what are you saying to that seller? That is something you're going to hear if you haven't heard it already. So Rodney, since you were the person that actually got me to change my script, what are you saying, or what are you planning to say to some of your clients that ask you that, my man?
Okay, so let's role play. You're the seller, and you've just said to me, I think I'm going to wait. Elgin, where are you planning on moving once you sell your home?
You know what? We were thinking about actually maybe moving out of state first, but I don't know. We're not 100% sure of what state, but we're thinking about maybe leaving California.
I hear a lot of my clients are saying the same thing to me, and it's really good that you have, you're sitting on a boatload of equity right now. And, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I've seen the market go up and then come down and then go up and then come down. And now it's higher than I ever have seen it before. But, you mentioned, Elgin, with all the things that are going on in the world, what do you think might happen to the real estate market?
Well, Rodney, I don't know, man. I'm nervous. Just with so much kind of you hear going on, I don't know what to. I don't know. I have no idea. That's why I'm asking you. What do you think?
Well, here's my experience, and recently I put up a house for sale at a very high price, and more than my seller was even expecting to get, and we got 3 offers on it. But had it been a year ago, I would have had 13. I'd have had 10 more offers on it, or I might even had 20 offers on it. And we would have seen it going out, all cash offers, with, no contingencies whatsoever. We're not seeing those now. We're seeing offers come in that are, they wanted the full 17 days for loan approval. They want 17 days to do their inspections. And they're not making these exuberant prices above the list price. So they are making them still. And I think you've got a window of opportunity right now. And so I would encourage you, especially if you're thinking about going out of state, you take that boatload of equity that you've got and then, pay all cash for a home somewhere else. And that's what a lot of my clients are doing. So then you don't have to worry about, like today, the Fed raised the interest rate 1/4 point, first time in 3 years. So, we don't know what is going to happen with interest rates, mortgage interest rates either, but they're probably going to go up, which could slow the market more. I don't think we're going to have a huge crash, but everything's topsy-turvy in the world right now. So I do think you have a window of opportunity, and I would encourage you to seriously look at putting your house up for sale now and not waiting 3 or 4 months.
Okay. Hey, I thought that's very good, Rodney. Thank you. One of the things that I like that Rodney just did, it was in the beginning, was that he did a little bit more fact finding as far as, where you're going to move to. He wanted to kind of find out what my motivation was about moving, and whether I was serious, about it. And then he went into elaborating from an area of strength, an area of experience, and I thought that he did that really well. I know one of the things that I would also say, and this is me, and I would like to ask some other people their opinion, is I would, and I've had a couple of people ask me about the war in particular, and kind of when they've asked me about
Hi, how are you?
the war, I've kind of also said that, hey, real estate is a localized area, and unfortunately, as bad as the war is, that's like a macro event, and there are going to be different effects in different areas of that macro event than necessarily your localized market. That being said, though, you need to be paying attention to a macro environment, because that macro environment eventually is going to come down to a micro environment. I also like the way Rodney then brought in the interest rate, because particularly with sellers, at that point, I want to focus on the interest rate, because you know what, as in Rodney's case this time, he was talking about he got 3 offers versus having 13 this time last year. Well, one of the things that I like to bring into the fact is that, hey, you know what, people are already going through and doing a lot to quote unquote qualify for their loans. So if the interest rates go up, which they have now, a quarter of a point, and it's projected that the rates are going to continue to go up, that less people right now are going to be able to afford to buy. So that means less people are going to be able to qualify for a home such as yours, which shrinks the pool down to how many buyers we would actually have for your home. So anyway, just another angle that I use in that kind of conversation. Michael, do you have an opinion of that? I see
Yeah,
you
I
got
think
your
it,
hand up.
yeah, I think it was great, and I think one thing that you started to do, or Rodney started to do, um, and I think maybe he could do a little bit better. And he gave a great answer, objection handle, is when I asked you, so you want to wait, you're nervous. What are you nervous about? And you said, I don't know. Well, are you nervous that the market's going to go up? Are you nervous that the market's going to go down? Are you nervous there's going to be a crash? Because when I can find that out a little bit from you, or are you just nervous because you don't, change is hard for you, and then I can take that and go and go with it. So I don't know. I'm just nervous, and I kind of frozen in indecision if we should move or where we're gonna go. Well, if that's the case, like Rodney said, now's better than last. Now we have the most money, maybe not as many offers. So then I can tie them all in and direct you as well where you're going, but I can base it on what you're nervous about. If you're nervous the market's gonna go down, well, great. When we sell your house, if you get an offer and the market goes down, by the time your house is sold and we're getting ready to put a cash offer in for another place or in another area, the market will drop and you'll be up money. If you're worried the market's going to go, keep going up, then you want to stay here, then we can adjust and figure out that way. But, if I know why you're nervous more, then I can kind of go at it.
Good point. Good point. So let's throw this one out there, since again it's all related to what we just kind of listened to with the first objection. So now you get the objection, and let's say it's from our buyer. Sure, I will give you one that everybody's hearing is prices are so high right now. I think I'm just going to wait until the market crashes, or until the prices. I'm going to wait until the prices come down. So what do you guys, when you hear that? I'm sure that if you haven't heard that, you just haven't talked to enough people yet. You will hear that just if you turn on the television nowadays. So let's see. I'm gonna start off I'm gonna pick on Chris Arrows.
All right, very good.
So my man, and I know you're really good with your conversations and your objections. So what do you say? Hey, Chris, I think I'm gonna wait until the prices of the homes come down, and then I'm gonna think about it.
Very good. Well, I can appreciate that because, real estate is just cycles. We go up and we go down. And it's just my opinion that we will see the market start to come down when the interest rates get high enough. Because most people, they don't care what they pay for the house. What they care about are their monthly payments. So as the interest rates go up, home prices may come down, but it's probably not going to have too much of a difference on your monthly payment. Because really what we're doing is we're taking money from one pocket and putting it into the other pocket. But true, home prices may come down, but at the same time, interest rates are going to be higher.
I like that. That's sounds like a seasoned pro. Hey, I'm gonna pick on somebody else now too before I jump in with my little 2 cents. Kyle, I'm hitting you up next, my man. Well, I'm sure that you probably heard that or at least heard someone say that. What would your reply be if someone were to ask you that? Hey, Kyle, I think I'm gonna wait because I'm waiting for the prices to go down, and prices are just too high right now. Just too high. I'm gonna wait till they come down. How would you handle that?
I would probably say that's not a bad idea, but there's no guarantee that we're going to see any kind of change within the marketplace within the next, 6 months to a year to be able to continue to wait. So I would prefer, or I would recommend taking the opportunity to see where we are now and moving forward versus moving on unknown variables in the near future.
Okay, all right. Good answer. Good answer. I'll tell you something that I would say along the lines of as well is, there is, and I said we weren't going to quote unquote talk about techniques, but there is one that I kind of use on. I guess I don't think of it as a technique anymore. I just think of it as part of my conversation. Is that stories sell. A lot of times when you're in conversation with people, but they like to hear stories, and feel, felt, found tends to work pretty well in particularly instances like that, meaning that you let people know that you can feel what they're saying. You or someone felt that way at one point, but this is what I found, right? So in some cases like that, I would say, hey, you know what, Kyle, I feel what you're saying, man. The prices are really high, and I was thinking about buying. I have other clients that were thinking about buying, and they felt that the prices were so high that once they came down, they would be able to afford more home. But what we found is that we have some clients, they've been waiting for a long time. I've got some clients that have been waiting since 2008 because they've been keeping saying that the market was going to go down, But guess what's happened? The market has continuously gone up. It's continuously gone up. So, for a person to say like that, do you think realistically the market will crash back down to what it was in 2008 or 2010? Odds of that probably aren't, great. But what I would say is this: are you more concerned with how much you pay for the house, or are you more concerned about what your monthly payment will be? Just see, because what I found is that it's all monopoly money until you're ready to buy or you're ready to sell. So if you can make the monthly payment every month, to be very honest, what do you care about the price that you pay? Because right now you're renting, and guess what you're doing renting? You are building the legacy of another family. Somebody else is loving you so much because you are building almost generational wealth for someone else. Shouldn't you be doing that for your own family? So just another angle. Anybody else have something they could throw in on that?
Yeah, Elgin, I liked what you said about, telling a story and feel, felt, found. I would ask them, say, how long do you think you'll be living in the house that you buy? And then from that, I would, if they thought, well, we have no plans to move after that, this is like our dream home or whatever. I would tell them, right at the peak of the market in 2007, my uncle called me for the first time ever, and he never called me again. But he says, "Hey, Rod," he's from the Arkansas. I said, "Hey, Rod, you might want to think about selling your house. You might be able to buy it back on 50 cents on the dollar." Well, not long after that, I didn't sell my house, but my next door neighbor said, "Hey, I had a dream that I was supposed to sell my house." I said, "Well, you better sell it then." So I sold it for him for $1,075,000. 5 years later, the new buyer had to short sale it at $595,000. So my uncle was right, but again, I was not planning on moving, and then 5 years after that, I sold mine for $1 million. So as someone said, real estate goes up and it goes down, and And I love what you said, Elgin, about, building somebody else's legacy. And I love that word legacy. That's good. Rather than equity, building their legacy. That's a great word.
Well, thank you, Roddy. I appreciate it. Michael, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was just adding in with there. The legacy is great, and then with the numbers, in your numbers, when Rodney, you threw in some numbers there for the actual, with your story and everything that really will be able to hit home when you're talking to somebody about what's going on with their property, so or with their decisions, and so if you're tracking and you can actually repeat what number what's happened, and then to take your feel felt found to the next level if you can, Algin, is if you know who you're talking to, if they're auditory, kinesthetic, or visual, you have to find the words. You can say feel felt found, see, saw, seen, and then I don't know, I got to figure out the auditory, hear, heard, hearing, or something, what we've been, however, but if you can use those words as well, you're going to be able to really connect with the person that way too.
Yeah, excellent point. I'm looking at the chat, and although this is very similar, we do have the objection. I'm waiting for the market to slow down. It's still a seller's market. So that's still working with the buyer. That's obviously very similar to what we've been talking about now. But let me ask Dre. I'm gonna pick on you for that. Someone says that to you along the same lines of what we're going right now. Give me an idea, or give us, excuse me, an idea of how you would respond to that.
To be honest with you, I didn't think about this. I'm not, since I'm not doing real estate yet, I'm just trying to pick up stuff right now.
That's all right. Hey, listen, then you came to the right place, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So once you get moving in it, you'll already have some skill level above some of the other people that are just coming. So one, I respect that. Two, I appreciate you for coming on, and hopefully we'll be able to add a little bit of value that'll help you as you join your real estate journey here at EXP.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
I'll throw that in. So, all right, no problem. All right, hey man, Christopher Hampton. I got two Chris's on here, and I know that you're newer in the business too, my brother. But I see you, and I want to commend you before I have you answer that question, because I see you on a lot of Zooms, a lot of training calls. So I know you're around here trying to soak up as much knowledge as you can. So that is noted and appreciated. So hey, give me an idea of maybe some sort of conversation you have with the client that asked you that.
I would say, based on research from, let's see, I use Ivy Zelman, that the home prices will continue to rise by 5%, and we can use different resources to show the same amount. That houses are going to rise throughout the year, and I mean, basically that's all I have. But from everything else you guys been saying, and then like if we were on a Zoom call, I could show those slides.
Mm-hmm. No, that's not a problem. So the one thing I would say to you is have confidence in what you're saying. Have confidence in what you're saying, because remember, they don't know more than you know. They don't know that you're newer. They don't know they don't know none of that. So if when you're in your conversations with them, speak to them with the confidence of the research that you've done, and that you know, and you'll be fine. And we were all nervous like that, and sometimes still get nervous depending upon who you're talking to, at particular, and for whatever reason at a time. So one, you ain't got to apologize for it. I know that you're learning, but you may want to, as you're going through some of these things, internalizing them a little bit more, so that when people ask you something, that you can feel real comfortable in your answers, and then you can spend as much time listening to them as possible. I don't see anything else in the chat yet, so we're going to continue on here with maybe it is again. If you got something, put it in the chat. So here we go. I'll give another one out, and then I'm gonna let Michael jump in. and answer this one. So now, so here's one. Houses are selling so fast right now. Anybody can sell a house. So I only want to pay you 1%. I only want to pay 1% commission because I mean, you know, I could probably sell it myself. I just don't have time. So, Michael, what's your answer to that, man? They want to take your money. What's your answer to that?
Well, one thing I'll use is what Debbie Penny has used before is say, you know what, everything in a real estate transaction is negotiable except for my commission. Or that's one way to go at it. The other way is I completely understand where you're coming from. You want to play a lower percentage. Everybody wants to walk away with the most money. That's what's the most important, right? Is how much you're going to net at the end of the transaction, right? What you're walking away with, not what you're paying, right? So in doing that, if you were to go with somebody else and pay 1%, I always go with kind of you get what you pay for. The bottom line is I'm going to negotiate for you and I'm going to make sure that you're protected. So if you did it yourself, there's so many things in a real estate transaction, and I have a large list that I can take out and show you here. You know, you're going to have to cover these, 200 steps and make sure that you're protected, and deal with escrow and have things come up. One example would be this last year I did a deal in Palm Springs, and the seller wanted to be there and didn't want representations. I was representing the buyer. We had the seller sign a non-representation form agreement. We were doing the thing. The seller kept calling and saying, "Wait, I didn't know about this. How come this? What about this fee?" And was so uncovered, unprotected. The buyer obviously ended up with an amazing deal, was completely protected, and the seller just had to go by and pay all these extra fees that he thought he was going to get away with not paying. By saving him, it cost him a lot more than the extra 2% from not having being represented. So my statement to you is you can hire anybody you want, but if you want somebody who's going to get you the most money and going to protect you the best, has your best interest in mind, you're going to look at me.
Okay. Hey, so I was just gonna call her back. We got the homegirl getting ready to jump in with her hand up. Di, go ahead.
Thank you. I think I would say to that, I think everything that Michael said was spot on. But one of the things that I would add is, in addition to you get what you pay for by going to a discount brokerage firm or trying to do it yourself, is you have the ability with you working with me to utilize my vast network of, thousands of agents and the, all of the modern technology that we have at our disposal, being with this company and just working with me and my sphere and my network, I'm able to push out your listing to a huge a variety of people and get more eyes on it, potentially bringing you more customers and a higher value. And why, you know what I mean? Like, are you going to really take the time to create a website, to do an email blast, to do push it out on social media? You don't have, your time is spent in, is more valuable than that. And it's better spent doing other activities.
Okay, that's great. I'm gonna have your homegirl jump in here, Pilar. She got something to say. So I'm gonna mute myself so you guys can hear her without the background noise.
I 100% agree with everything that both Michael and Di have said. And I just want to add to those things that one thing you should mention to a prospective seller is, and I've heard this a lot of times from Mr. Walker, that if I can't negotiate my own commission, how do you think I'm going to negotiate a solid offer for your home? So my commission is not negotiable. And I am very firm with my commission because everything that I bring to the table is for your benefit. Everything the knowledge that I have, the experience, the network, so forth and so on, is something that will help you to get the top dollar for your home. So again, if I can't negotiate my own commission to the price that I know that I am worth, how am I going to get the best deal for you? You definitely have the opportunity to try to sell it yourself, but the expertise that I have will by far outweigh anything that you will be able to do, unfortunately. Nothing personal, but I've been doing this for 18 years and I kind of know a thing or two. And I really want to give you everything that I have so that you can get the best dollar for your home.
I guess she has been listening to me a little bit. That's pretty cool. Thank you, B. I also would say to you guys that one of those things, and I'm sure that Rodney and Chris will agree with me because they've been around a long time too. I think Rodney's probably the only person been around longer than I have. But I think that in this objection, and to be honest with you, in any objection, is you also want to isolate that this is what the real problem is, what the real situation is. Meaning this is that, like we were saying earlier, the buyers and sellers go to buyer and seller. I want to stump the real estate agent school. So this is one of the first things that they teach them is that we don't want to pay you your money, right? And so you are going to hear this. What I will say also, in addition to everything else that's been said, is I'll ask the question of them is this way: is I'll say, Mr. Seller, so what you're saying is that the 1% commission that you're looking to pay, is that what your focus is? Is your focus on the commission? And they'll say whatever they'll say. Maybe they'll say yes. And let's say they say yes. My reply at that point would be, look, Mr. Seller, if I can show you that I can bring you more money to your net, are you still only concerned about the commission? Or are you concerned about how much money you bring home? If I can show you the value in working with me is going to net you more money than me just saying, oh yeah, I do it for 1%. Because you feel like you may have, quote unquote, won on the commission level, but you may have cost yourself thousands of dollars by not allowing me to put all of my expertise to the table and to the test. Wouldn't you agree that's a better opportunity? So, and the reason why I kind of put it in a way like that too is I want to make sure, and I want to know before I waste a whole lot of my breath and time, is how realistic the seller is as far as getting their place sold. Because then they might say, well, I mean, I don't care what it is, but I'm only going to do it for 1%. So then then at that particular point, you have to make a decision on what you're willing to do with your business, and before you say, I'm not going to do that, I'm just not going to do that, you also take the personal part of it out, and then it might be something that you want to do something differently. Like, for instance, I was mentioning this at another group that we were doing. Let's suppose that someone tells me that they don't want to pay my commission rate, because this is the one I do hear. I hear more so than the 1%. I will hear, well, I know that you pay a selling agent and all of that, so you pay them 2.5%, and then you take 1%, or you take 1.5%, and that's what I want to pay. And that's what I will hear that. So the decision that I'll make at that particular time and point is, number one, remember, they're talking to you because they really prefer to have your service. They really prefer to work with you. So they're just telling you this, but they want you, because they didn't want you, you wouldn't be there. Particularly if you're at the kitchen table or you're somewhere with them in person, right? So you know that they already want you. Now, we all do know that the market is a strong market. We know that the market is a strong market, and that realistically we'll probably sell it in a much faster manner than we would have a few years ago. So in that same scenario, what I'll say is this. I'll say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, or Mr. Seller, I know that you're saying just 2.5% to the selling office. It's great. And will I take 1.5% or whatever it is? Here's the deal. The deal with me is this, is that, as you know, I normally charge a 6% commission. I said, are you prepared to sign the listing agreement with me today? And I'll ask them, are you going to sign it with me today? And then they'll probably say, well, let's say they are ready. Well, if you'll agree to the commission rate, then we'll sign it today. And then you make a decision on A, whether or not you're willing to take it at that rate, or B, what I would do at that point is I say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I can't go that low. But what I can do is, like I said, I normally charge 6%. I'll charge you 5% if you list the home today. I said, now, if you don't list the home today, this offer is not good tomorrow. Don't go talk to 4 or 5 other agents and then, you know what, those are the best agent for this. I said, because you probably feel that way already, because otherwise I wouldn't be sitting with you. I wouldn't be sitting with you if there was someone else out there right now that was offering you the quote unquote a commission rate that you prefer to pay, and was also offering you the services that I do and can bring you the value that I can. So at this particular point, I'm willing to do that now, but now only. And then let them see what they say. I will tell you that the majority of the time they'll sign it. So how many of you, when you think about it, would take, I don't know, $1 million house or an $800,000 or $900,000 house? You'd probably take 5%. Some of you probably go walk in the door and offer 5%. Now, I'm not walking in the door offering that. I'm walking in the door offering what I feel what my value is, right? But now I'm also not crazy. 5% of $1 million. And more than likely, if I'm pricing it correctly, it's only going to be on the market a little while. Oh yeah. So it's the boom, 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 on to the next transaction. On to the next transaction. So Rodney, what is your thoughts on that? You're a strong listing agent and have been forever.
Yeah, I like what you just said there at the end. Like, if you'll sign today, I would do it at 5%. And if they're still hemming and hawing, say, I sell a lot of my own listings, and if I bring you a buyer, I would be willing to write on there that I would do it for a half a point less, and something like that. So just sweeten the pot just a little bit more, so that maybe they would be willing to do that. Also, I don't know if anyone said this yet, but I was reading a blog about the luxury market, and one of the points that it makes about breaking into the luxury market is to create the relationships with other agents that are in your same market. And but it can be that way at any price point. Like, if you're dealing with someone, you're going up against the farmer in that particular tract of homes or something, you can say, oh, I have a great relationship with Stephanie Mataco, or I have a great relationship with Stephen Casino, or I have a great relationship with whoever it happens to be. That part of getting your home sold is, having someone good on the other side that they can be counted on to deliver on their part and stuff. So anyway, I would add that too, probably.
Okay, great. So that's cool. So yeah, I'm gonna. Does anybody? I'm gonna ask. Since we've got time, I'm gonna ask another objection here. Does anybody? I didn't see anything else new in the chat. Does anybody have, or something that you wanted to? Oh wait, I take that back. I have a few other. Okay, let's see. We got a couple of them here. So we'll start with this one. And I have a few other agents I'm planning on speaking with before I decide who I'll list my home with. That's a good one. Okay. Hey Chris, I'm sure you've heard that one before. Jump in on that one, please.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and acknowledge that they're interviewing the other agents, and I'll ask them about how many more are you interviewing, or how many agents are you thinking of interviewing, and see what their response is. And then I'll say, great, if I'd like to be the first one there, because typically they will list with the first agent, especially if you can connect with them. So I'll just acknowledge, say great, and ask if I can be the first one.
Really? Yeah, Chris, I do just the opposite. I say, can I go last? And I say, and the reason I'd like to go last is because I find that a lot of times agents say things that bring up more questions that you didn't think to ask with the first one. And so I'm so confident in my ability that I would be willing to bet I could answer those questions to your liking or something. Something like that. But I actually like to go last.
You know, I like to go first and last. So I go first, get in there first. You talk and everything like that. And if for some reason, you know, like Elgin says, this is my deal. It's on, you know, on the table. And if are you ready to sign today? Well, I really need to speak with everybody. I put it out there. Well, you know, I understand that you need to speak with somebody else and talk to the other agents, and you know, then I even promote it. You know, I do. I recommend you do. You know, if I know that it's not going to come my way, talk to them. You're going to see where I am. The only thing that I'm going to request from you is that after you've spoken to everybody, I'm going to make a meeting. When's the last time that you? When is the last person that you're going to be speaking with? If it's Thursday, okay, Thursday. So after Thursday, when you're done with them, let's make an appointment on Friday, or they're going to be done at Thursday at 3. Let's make an appointment at Thursday at 5 or at 4. I can come through and ask her and answer any questions you have and go over any concerns that you had that you thought would make different from those other agents, so I can fill in the gaps and show you that why I would be the better choice over the rest of them.
Hey, Chris, that's great. Here's, and I've used that too. One of the things that I've done, I kind of got away from it, but it just was reminded of it, and I want to get back to doing it. And that is, I print out a copy of the National Association of Realtors, the NAR ethical standards. There's like 10 ethical standards, and so whether I go first or whether I go last, if I go first, I say, first off, I just want to say these are the standards to which I hold myself, which is the National Association of Realtors ethical standards. Now, you're probably going to get, if you're interviewing 3 more agents, you're going to get, 3 more copies of this, and you're going to have 4 of them by the time that we're done here. But I just wanted you to know I hold the highest ethical standards. Or if I go last, the first thing I pull out is I say, hey, I know I'm probably the 4th one to give you this, but this is the, and they don't give them it. They never give them and I've gotten listings as a result of using that.
That's really good. Yeah, I like that.
Hey, I like that too. I know too. I'll for both of those, for going, one of the things is going first or going last, because I've done both, and just kind of depends. It kind of depends on how I've been doing it so long now. It just kind of depends on how I feel, or whether I want to go first or last. But if I go first, one of the things that I'll ask them, and even though a good portion of the time they'll say that they still want to interview people, but I will ask them when I get there first and say, I know Mr. Seller, I know that you're going to be interviewing some other agents, but let me ask you a question. If you feel comfortable with me, if you feel comfortable with my marketing plan, if you feel comfortable, blah, 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 with all of that, is there anything else that would keep you from signing a listing agreement with me tonight? And ask them. If you feel comfortable enough, I understand that you have other agents that you plan to speak with. Nothing wrong with that at all. But if right now you feel comfortable with me, you feel comfortable that I can sell your home, that I can get you the most money possible with the least amount of stress and strife, is there any other reason that you won't that you won't do business with me tonight? And see what they say. And then we use a what we call an easy exit plan. So say, if you decide that you don't want to that you don't like us, that we're not doing the job for you, you can cancel your listing at any time prior to opening escrow. All you got to do is call me and say, Elgin, I don't like you, and we'll let you out of your contract. No clause, nothing to what. And I'll say it like that, very lightly, and that's worked for me. And then if I'm on the back end and say I've come in last, like Rodney's come in, and when I'm doing my presentation and whatnot, and I'll say to them at that point, so how many agents have you spoken to, Michael? How many agents you talked to? Oh, we spoke to 3 already. Oh, okay, great. Well, since you've spoken to 3 agents and I'm here, that means that so far I would guess that no one has probably shown you enough value that you are willing to sign with them yet. Am I correct? And most of the time they'll smile and laugh and they'll say whatever. And I say, well, that's why I'm here. Because if you saw somebody with a presentation prior to me coming that you would have liked already, you'd have probably signed with them. So my question to you is now, is if I'm able to show you and that you feel that I am the best agent to represent you in this thing, will you be willing to sign with me tonight? At least start getting them to think that way. And you have to remember, all these objection handlers and all this stuff, none of it works 100% of the time. But if it works 7 out of 10 times, versus what's going on now? Are you at a better place and a better percentage than you were previously? So I know it's been an hour. We're coming up on an hour. I know we have one other question. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add to that, or anything else they would like to say? And then and we can stay on for a little bit longer and answer and chat about the next question. But I want to be respectful of people's time. So if you have to jump off, that's okay. But so are we okay with that, or does anybody have anything else they want to add to that? That question, and we'll move to the next one.
I think we're good.
Okay. So last one that we have right now then is, what are things that the client is saying to you? More than likely, this is, well, it could be a buyer or a seller. What are things that you do that make your offer stand out above, stand out above other what other people offer, I guess, basically. And I'll throw it out to Di first.
Okay, what are things that I do to make my offer stand out? So this is when you are representing the buyer and you present your offer to the seller, or you're talking about like your offer to list the property?
It's actually, the way I posed the question was to my fellow agents. What are you guys doing to make your offer stand out above other offers when you've been successful in getting your offers accepted?
Okay, so I like to, of course, put all of the deal points, you know, in like a nice, concise, like cover letter, you know, where you talk about like the terms and if there are any contingencies that are being waived. You know, if you're willing to do a rent back, if you want to do a brief description or some kind of like love letter on behalf of the buyer. That's not really like a separate letter, because a lot of times those aren't being submitted to the sellers per the advice of the listing agent. Because I know if I had a choice, I'm telling my seller, you don't just stick to the offers. You don't really need to see the letters. If you want to see them, great, but I don't want them to like really necessarily sway you. And then you don't want to get into possible, you know, lawsuits or discrimination or anything like that. So a way around that is on the email to the listing agent with my offer, I'll do a brief little like, thank you so much for the opportunity. You know, my clients could really see themselves in this home, raising their family, being a part of the community, blah, blah, blah. So I do little things like that. And sometimes they help. Also just trying to be extremely cooperative and collaborative during the whole process from start to finish. Like from the time I book the first showing, I'm just trying to treat the listing agent with the utmost respect. And that does stand out sometimes. You know, they see who they'd like to work with.
Nice job. Anybody else have anything to add to that? How about you, Michael? What are you doing to get some of your offers accepted? Maybe different.
Are you using glitter? Just kidding. Just kidding. No.
I was about to say no.
That make it stand out. No, really, it's just everything that Dia said and the communication. If you can get in there and let the person know that you're going to communicate and be, you know, 100% serious, make sure that your contracts are clean. There's all the other things that you can add, and I love her, you know, the summary, you know, the letter with the summary to make it really clear what they're getting, because there's so many things, a little this point, that point, but here, I've told you all, but you can explain it to them there. And even as much as going to them and saying, I'm getting you all this, I have all this, what's your best form of communication? We already know who we're using for our services, but how can I communicate? How do you prefer to be communicate? Because I don't want to be the annoying agent, but I want to definitely be the agent that gets you the information you want when you need it. and I'm going to let you know that I'm going to follow up and fill in so my clients treat it best, but also that your client's going to get the best service, because I'm not going to let you, fall short for them as well. So I'll pick up whatever we need to do to get the deal done.
That's
And
pretty
that usually.
great.
Agreed. And I will use glitter if necessary.
What I do to make my offer stand out is present my offer with DU approval. I don't want a pre-approval letter. I want DU approval. I'll have my lender call the listing agent. I like to call and chat with the listing agent if possible. Well, that's not always possible. Some agents don't return calls. So I like to write the offer the way I like offers when I'm a listing agent. For example, if the property's occupied, I want to see the close of escrow +3. Also, if they're going to leave their home inspection contingency at 17 days, I always reduce it to 10. So on my offers, I put 10 days for the home inspection, close of escrow +3. I like to get the full 3% down payment. I like to also submit my DRE information with the offer. So the listing agent can see that I've been doing real estate forever, and hopefully I know what I'm doing. So that's what I do.
I like that one. That's a good point. Hey, I see another one here in the
Can I add on before we go on?
go ahead, sure.
I really am on pace with what Chris just said. I like to do all of those things as well. And I like to also ask the listing agent who they use for title, who they use for escrow. I like to add all of those things. I try to avoid putting seller's choice if at all possible. I want them to know that I'm all in. And so it seems that I have luck with that. And also when, like Chris said, if I'm able to speak to the listing agent, I really like to give them a lot of information in regards to my client situation, as far as, they're patient, they're flexible with their closing time. What do your clients need? I like to ask a lot of questions if I get the opportunity, but again, I believe it was Michael that said you don't always get a chance to talk to the listing agents, but if I do, I spend like 10 minutes just kind of going back and forth, getting as much information as I can and providing as much information as I can. And lastly, one thing I do, and maybe this is creepy, I'm not sure, but I look the listing agent up on Facebook and I try to get an idea of what kind of person I'm going to be dealing with. Or do they have young kids? Do they, what do they do with their friends on the weekends? And so when I do have that little 10 minutes of conversation, I try to flow in that same manner, like, I'll make whatever comparisons I can, or, kind of get in with that type of vibe that they have. So that seems to, people seem to appreciate that because they feel like, oh, I'm going to be in escrow with my friend for 30 days. So just my 2 cents.
That's pretty good. That's very good. It's like, wow, you do all that? No wonder she has a better ratio of getting her offers accepted than I do. We have one more in the chat, and we'll spend a couple of minutes on this. I think it's a good one, and before letting you guys go. So from Kyle, how do you handle distressed homeowners who are hesitant to sell, but know they are dealing with a challenge or challenging times? Yeah, you know what, and that's something that's a skill that everybody should begin to learn, because we are going to have we are going to have more situations like that, especially when the forbearance and all that kind of stuff comes to play. You are going to be dealing with that a little bit more. So the one thing and I'll start and then I'll let everybody else dig, because I have to have dealt with a lot of short sales and dealt with and even now deal with people that quote unquote have distress, is to understand that one person's distress is different from another person's. And they may not be in quote unquote foreclosure, but it doesn't mean that they aren't distressed. They may not even be behind on their payment, but it doesn't mean that they're distressed, that they're not distressed. And when I'm talking to people, I like to bring up those points in the sense that, I mean, if you're having difficulty making your monthly payment, or if you're having difficulty making a decision on your monthly payment versus the kid's school versus, I mean, if every month is robbing Peter to pay Paul to pay Peter back, that for a lot of people, my case as well, would be stressful. You are in some sort of a distress. I also know from dealing with that a lot is that people that are in distress, and if they're in foreclosure, NODs or whatever, a good portion of the time, they feel and are waiting for a windfall. There's some they almost are in paralysis that something's going to happen and they're not going to lose their home. Something's going to happen. Money going to come from somewhere. I'm on God. He going to do it. Whatever it is, I'm going to, I'll be all of that, which is fine. But realistically, what I like to tell people is that unfortunately right now you're in a situation where as times are a little bit tough and all of that. But what on the good side of that is the market is so strong right now. The market is so strong that you actually will be able to sell your home and you'll be able to come out of it with a profit. I have unfortunately been in situations where I've had to sit in front of people like you that have had circumstances right now that are challenges, and I've had to tell them that their home was worth less than what they paid for it. And the situation is a lot different. So what I'm here to talk to you about now is I'm here to talk to you about protecting the equity that you have in your home. Please understand that right now, if you were to lose your home, the bank and whomever else, they're not having any difficulty with that whatsoever because there's enough equity in the property that they're going to get paid anyway. The person that's losing is you. All that money between what you owe on the house, if you happen to be behind on us, whatever the circumstances is, you are the one at that point that's losing. So what I'm here to do, I'm here to protect your equity. I'm here to help you get out of this situation. And maybe you take a step back, but you're going to be able to leap forward, and you're going to be able to leap forward and start in a better position, probably than when you got into this property. So anyway, that's my take on that. Anybody else want to jump in on that? Michael, you want to jump in on it, or Chris?
Yeah.
I know Chris, you've also done a lot of short sales and all that stuff too. Either one of you guys want to jump in for me?
I'll jump in just a little bit just to add what you're saying when you're talking to them and telling them, hey, I'm protecting your equity and everything. It's really, this is a part where we're in a situation where I know when we get into these parts, it feels like we're losing control. And this right now is something you can take control of. So wouldn't you rather be in control of what happens next? And then as we go from there, so if we list your home, we're going to protect your equity. You're going to walk out of it with something, and then you're in control of your next step. If you don't, because the writing on the wall and how we feel, is too much stuff dealing with us, you're not in control, and we don't know, and I'm not going to say you're losing your house or anything, but I'm going to say that feeling of not being in control is, constricting to everybody. So I'm here to help you take control of the situation, and let's make the next step and take you there.
Good deal, good deal. Chris, close us up, man. What do you think?
Well, I would listen with an empathetic ear. I would acknowledge their distress and address their distress. Well, be a little bit more concerning.
No, you know what? Though, that's perfect. That's the perfect structure. You do have to have empathy. You definitely have to have empathy for the person's a situation, and to understand that situation could very easily be any one of us. And then when you have that kind of empathy for them, you also want to assure them that you're there to help them and not just take advantage of them, because a lot of people when they're in situations like that are understandably defensive. They're defensive, and particularly if they happen to have gotten an NOD or something like that, then what we used to call the 40 thieves come out. Everybody wants to sell me your house. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do nothing. We get you. They're getting a ton of letters. You know how it is. They're getting a ton of letters now so now they don't know who to trust. They don't know who to trust. They don't know what direction to turn to, and for lack of a better word, they're scared. They're nervous and they're scared what they're going to do with their family. So empathy is extremely important. And then hopefully at that point you can add patience. and patience, because the majority of the people that are in those that are quote unquote in a distressed situation, selling their home honestly is the last thing that they want to do. They really do not want to sell, but unfortunately, they probably can't afford to stay. So I also tell them that no matter what you decide to do, there's only one thing I'm asking you: don't walk away from it. Don't walk away from your home. You'd be surprised how many people out there still do that, or are considering that, or will do that, and they'll walk away with it, and from the standpoint of being ashamed or not understanding the market, and they'll have the equity, and they will walk away from it. I've seen it too many times. So, all righty, guys. I want to say thank you again for hanging here. I know we went a little bit longer than what we were planning on do. I really appreciate it, Michael. Thank you very much, my co-host, all of that. I'd like to remind everybody again, not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, we will be doing another training. Our training will be on again niche marketing and doing one thing. How not to be multitasking so much, to focus on something to help move your business forward. So be thinking of that. The only request that I would ask for everyone here too is, hey, if you enjoyed this, and you think there was some value to it, do your best to bring one other person with us. Let's get this thing up to, or the momentum back to where we're at 40, 50 people. That's 40 or 50 more opinions and everything else that we can do to, again, help each other grow, because that's what we're looking for. Remember, we're not in competition with each other. We're all trying to grow together. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys again. Appreciate you. See you in a couple of weeks. Yes, you'll get notices, videos, you'll get all of that. And I hope to see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.